Welcome, everyone. Just want to start by saying this discussion, which is all about finding your control when life feels, well, chaotic, is presented by our YouTube channel, Audio Podcast. We're jumping right in today, looking at that big challenge, maybe the biggest one, dealing with a world that's just unpredictable, you know? One minute, things feel fine. The next, something happens, big or small, and bam.
Yeah, throws you completely off balance. And that tension, that space between the external craziness and finding some internal quiet, that's really what we're exploring today. All the thinking around this really points to one core idea. The foundation, really. You can't control everything out there. You just can't. But you can control your internal world.
That sounds simple, but it's huge, isn't it? Ryan Holiday is often credited with putting it plainly, the only thing you can control is your reaction. That idea really shifts things. It means what happens to you doesn't automatically get to decide how you feel.
Right. And it's super important to be clear here. We're not talking about, just stuffing down your feelings or pretending things are okay when they're not. That's not it at all.
Okay, so what are we talking about then?
It's about building resilience, real mental strength, so that when life inevitably turns up the heat, your emotional core stays steady. You're not just swept away.
Got it. So the goal for our conversation today is pretty straightforward. We want to explore the tools, the mindset shifts that help you walk into those high-pressure moments, maybe a tough meeting, an unexpected problem, and feel, centered, focused, like you're actually in charge of how you respond. Okay, let's start with a big one. What people think calm means. Usually it's like being totally silent, showing zero emotion, maybe forcing a smile. Why is that idea actually unhelpful?
Because that's not calm, that's suppression. It's like putting a lid on a boiling pot. Real calmness isn't passive, it's active. It's a skill.
Active? How so?
Think about being in the eye of a hurricane. Chaos is swirling all around you, right?
Right.
Wind, rain, debris flying everywhere. But right in the middle, it's still clear.
Ah, okay. So calmness isn't getting rid of the storm.
Exactly. It's finding that steady center while the storm is raging. It's the ability to stay grounded within the chaos, not somehow magically eliminating it.
That's a powerful image. And I liked how the materials stress that this isn't something you're just born with, like having blue eyes.
No, definitely not. It's not luck. It's development. Think of it like building muscle at the gym.
Okay.
Your mental stability, your composure, it grows stronger with practice. It takes conscious effort, awareness, doing it over and over again, especially under a bit of pressure. You're training your mind, basically.
Right, exercising that calm muscle. There was another analogy that really stuck with me, the hot coffee test. Can you walk us through that one?
Sure. Imagine you're holding a full cup of really hot coffee, and you're walking through a busy place. Suddenly, someone bumps into you. What happens?
Coffee spills everywhere. You make a mess.
Exactly. The spill is your reaction. Now think about what's inside that cup. If your mind, your internal cup, is filled with anxiety, stress, maybe some simmering anger you haven't dealt with,
Ah, I see. When life bumps you, a sudden deadline, bad traffic, a rude comment.
that's what spills out. That negativity, that stress, that anger, it spills onto the situation, onto other people.
So true composure is about what's in the cup to begin with.
Precisely. It's about consciously filling your mind with, let's say, clarity, perspective, self-control. So when those inevitable bumps happen, you don't spill reactions you'll later regret.
Okay. But what about the criticism that being calm makes you seem weak, like you're just letting people walk all over you?
Yeah, that's a really common misconception, but it gets strength completely backward. Think about it. What takes more power? Lashing out instantly, which is often just an impulse.
Or pausing, choosing your response carefully.
Exactly. Real strength is in the choice. It takes immense internal power to stay steady, to think clearly, and to respond intentionally when your emotions are screaming at you to just react. The calm person doesn't need to shout. Their strength is in their stability when others are losing it.
Okay, so if calm composure is the goal, we need to understand the root of the problem first. Why do our minds tend to fly off the handle so easily? Why does a small setback sometimes feel like the end of the world?
That really goes back to our basic wiring, our evolutionary history. The human brain didn't evolve for spreadsheets and email, right?
Ah, definitely not.
It evolved for survival in a pretty dangerous world. Predators, finding food, tribal conflict, that kind of thing. So its primary job became threat detection, instant threat detection.
Like, see danger, react immediately, don't stop to think too much.
Precisely. If you heard a rustle in the bushes, assuming it was a lion, even if it was just the wind, kept you alive. Hesitation could be fatal.
Mhm.
That system is built for speed, not necessarily accuracy in a modern context.
So we have this ancient, super sensitive alarm system
Right.
running in today's world. And it applies that same life or death urgency to things that aren't actually threatening our survival.
Like a deadline or a critical email, even just someone cutting you off in traffic. Yep. Those things trigger the same stress chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline.
Hmm.
Your heart races, muscles tense up, your mind starts worrying intensely. The physical reaction is real, even if the threat is just, an inconvenience.
And it gets worse, doesn't it? Because our brains hate uncertainty. They try to fill in the blanks, often with negative stuff.
Oh, absolutely. The brain wants a narrative. It wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So if there's ambiguity, like someone doesn't reply to your text right away, or your boss is quiet in a meeting,
You immediately assume the worst.
jumps right there. That silence must mean they're angry. That delay must mean the project is failing. It creates these negative stories, these fictions, to fill the void. And that manufactured story creates real stress, even if it's based on nothing.
It really does feel like where we put our focus makes all the difference, like pointing a camera lens.
That's a great way to put it. If you zoom that mental lens right in on the problem, the fear, the thing that went wrong, it fills your entire field of vision. It looks huge, overwhelming.
But you can choose to zoom out.
That's the skill. The ability to consciously pull back that lens, to see the wider context, to shift the focus from, oh no, this is terrible, to, okay, what can I do about this? What's the next step? Controlling that focus is, in many ways, controlling the panic.
Okay, that gives us a really clear picture of why we get overwhelmed. So let's talk solutions, practical things. When that wave of stress or anger hits and you feel like you're about to lose it, what's the first, most immediate thing you can actually do?
Breathe. It sounds almost too simple, right?
Okay.
But the breath is the most direct link you have between your body's panic signals and your mind's ability to think clearly.
How does that work, the stress loop you mentioned?
Well, when you get stressed or scared, what happens to your breathing?
It gets fast, shallow, like you can't catch your breath.
Exactly. And that shallow, rapid breathing sends a signal straight to your brain. Danger. Alert. Which, of course, makes the brain pump out more stress hormones, making you feel more anxious, which makes your breathing worse. It's a vicious cycle.
So controlling the breath interrupts that cycle.
It does. It's like hitting a physiological pause button. By consciously changing your breathing pattern, you send a different signal back to your brain. Okay, we're safe now. Stand down.
Is there a specific technique that's most effective?
The simplest and often most powerful one is just focusing on your exhale. Make your out-breath deliberately longer than your in-breath,
Longer exhale. Why does that specifically help?
because it directly stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the body's rest and digest mode, the opposite of fight or flight. A longer exhale physically slows your heart rate, tells your muscles to relax. It forces your body out of that high alert state.
Wow, just from breathing out slowly. Okay, and then linked to that is the idea of the pause. Not just pausing the breath, but pausing before you act.
Yes, that pause is crucial. It can be just 2 or 3 seconds. But that tiny gap can be the difference between saying something you instantly regret, firing off that angry email.
And choosing a response that's actually constructive.
Precisely. It gives the thinking part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, a chance to come back online. The initial emotional surge hijacks your thinking, right? The pause gives your rational mind a moment to catch up and say, okay, hang on, let's think about this. It gives you back control.
And this isn't something you just magically master in a crisis, is it? It comes back to that training idea.
Absolutely. You don't build this kind of mental muscle during the 5-alarm fire. You build it in the small, everyday moments.
Like when you're stuck in a long line. Or get an annoying email right at the end of the day.
Those are your practice reps.
Oh.
Seriously. Dealing with the minor inconvenience, the unexpected delay, the irritating little thing that's your training ground. If you can practice pausing, breathing, and choosing your response in those low-stakes moments, you're building the foundation you need for when the really big challenges hit.
Which leads perfectly into the ultimate goal here, right?
Yeah.
Shifting from just reacting on impulse to actually responding thoughtfully. How do we make that leap, especially when we feel really triggered? What's the real difference?
The core difference is intention. Reaction is automatic. It's driven by that immediate emotional impulse, often defensiveness or fear, and it frequently leads to regret later. Why did I say that? Why did I do that?
We've all been there.
Right. Response, on the other hand, is conscious. It's chosen. It involves taking that pause, however brief, checking in with your values and goals, and then acting deliberately. It's guided by clarity, not just raw emotion.
It reminds me of that analogy about emotions being in the passenger seat. They're still there, but they're not driving the car.
That's a perfect way to think about it. When your composure, your rational mind, is driving, feelings like anger or frustration or anxiety might still be in the car with you. They exist. You acknowledge them.
But they don't get to grab the steering wheel.
Exactly. They don't dictate where you go or how fast you drive. You notice the emotion. You might even say, okay, anger is here right now, but you don't automatically obey its command to yell or slam on the brakes. You remain in control of the vehicle.
So how do we get better at creating that separation and not taking everything so personally, this idea of the discipline of neutrality?
It starts with recognizing that most external events are, in themselves, neutral. They just are. A delayed flight is a delayed flight. A critical comment is just words. It's the meaning we attach, the story we tell ourselves about the event that creates the suffering.
So this delay means my whole trip is ruined, or that comment proves I'm incompetent.
Right. The discipline is training yourself to see the event more objectively, almost like you're watching it happen to someone else. Step back from the immediate, what does this mean about me? Filter. When you can observe without instantly personalizing, you create breathing room, mental space.
And part of that discipline is also about recognizing what's actually worth our mental energy and letting go of the rest.
Hugely important. True discipline includes accepting what you genuinely cannot control. And let's be honest, that's most things outside of ourselves. Other people's choices, the weather, global events.
We waste so much energy worrying about those things.
We do. It's futile. The real power comes when you consciously redirect all that wasted energy away from the uncontrollables and focus it squarely on the one thing you always have control over.
Your own response.
Your response in this very moment. How you choose to think, how you choose to act right now. That's where your energy makes a difference.
It's amazing when you think about how much time and stress go into worrying about things that, well, that never even happened. Imaginary catastrophes.
We live under the shadow of problems that exist only in our heads. If you could reclaim even half the energy spent on what-if scenarios and negative forecasting and invest it instead in managing your state now, responding constructively to what's actually happening, imagine the difference. That's the path to sustained calm.
This has been, wow, really clarifying. I think the biggest thing I'm taking away is that calmness isn't just this passive state of bliss we stumble into. It's active. It's a kind of freedom, really.
It absolutely is. Freedom from being yanked around by your circumstances, freedom from your own knee-jerk reactions. But like any valuable freedom, it has to be earned, practiced, daily.
Okay, so maybe a final thought for everyone listening to take with them.
Yeah, how about this? Think about those small, everyday frustrations. The traffic jam, the slow internet, the person who interrupts you. What if you started seeing every single one of those, not as an annoyance, but as like a training rep, a chance to practice that pause, that breath, that choice?
Building the muscle for the bigger stuff.
Exactly. If every minor irritation is a low-stakes opportunity to build the resilience you'll need when something major happens, what small moment will you choose as your training ground today?
That's a great challenge to end on. Thank you so much for this conversation. And thank you all for watching and listening. If you found this valuable and want more discussions like this, focusing on mindset and navigating challenges, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Audio Podcast, for more motivational podcasts. Thanks again for tuning in.